like to call to order the Tuesday, November 21st, 2017 Brooklyn City Board of Education regular meeting. Mr. Street, can you please call the roll, please?
Mr. Neal.
Here.
Mrs. Barczyk.
Here.
Mr. Singer.
Here.
Mr. Hennings.
Here.
Mr. Oak.
Here.
Could everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody. Next, we're going to go on to student achievement, intermediate school. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Glykoff.
Thanks, Mr. Neal. Obviously, we've got quite a few students here tonight, and I'm going to introduce their principal, Mr. Tansky, who I think is going to bring a few of our prize intermediate students forward today.
Thanks, Dr.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Here we go.
food.
Well, we had 19 students that we invited for this evening, and I had 16 of them say RSVP will be there. But we had a few students who obviously didn't make it for tonight. But that's understandable, seeing that we've got some families out of town and some families preparing for maybe big meals. But we're going to honor the students who are joining us for this evening. Over the years, we've discussed opportunities for students at the middle school or the intermediate school. We've recognized our students for their art or power of the pen accomplishments, participating in the musical, band, our Hurricane Cafe. As we continue to highlight our students, we also need to find what keeps them on track and what's going to allow them to be successful in the classroom and be productive young adults. So tonight I want to recognize another group of adolescents who have taken a challenge, and this is what I call it, this past fall to be part of 2 sports teams. And yet, they made accomplishments daily in school. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about. I will introduce our 7th grade volleyball team and football team for tonight. So moving on, I want to just share with you, I had an opportunity to talk with the students several times, ask them really what did they learn from their experiences and what came of that. And you're going to hear about that for this evening, but I'm also going to have a student speak to you directly and talk about what that season meant and really what athletics means to them. But I do want to take a moment to recognize some of the kids that are here. I've listed the football team. This is just our 7th grade group. And according to Mr. Dayton, who just said to me, I'm surprised they're not all here because, boy, they had a successful season that they haven't shown in the past. But I do want to introduce Brandon Dayton, who's here. Brandon, can you stand up for us? Brandon, you were supposed to have 5 members of your team also join you for tonight. I'm glad you're here for this evening. So, Brandon, thanks for joining us. I do want to introduce some of the girls who are with us tonight. Adriana Barczyk. Adriana, we're going to ask you to stand up. Adriana Bragg. Let's see, Sakura McGinnis is with us. Laura Wynn. Taylor and Tiana Ruffin. And Amira Salman. So girls, we appreciate that you came here for this evening. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Amira, who's got a few things that she's going to say on behalf of the girls.
Hi, I played volleyball for the first time. I made the setter position and was one of the team captains along with my friend Adriana Barczyk. Brooklyn Fall football and volleyball teams worked hard and went through our season successfully. Our volleyball team learned how not just to play volleyball, we also learned about good attitude and working as a team. Sports motivate me to keep up my grades so I can keep doing the sports that I love. Being in sports helped my anxiety with social interactions and helped me make more friends. Brooklyn sports helped my experience in intermediate school being memorable, and hopefully that continues to carry on high school.
As you know, you deserve a round of Aiden, I'm sorry I didn't ignore you. I saw you sneak in the back. We need to recognize Aiden Nelson. Aiden, can you stand up for us from the football team? Aiden, thanks for joining us. Statistics speak for themselves. That was a hard word to get out. I want to share a few items with you. As we look around at our group, at our football and our volleyball team, 4 of those members out of 19 are part of our National Junior Honor Society. And they were inducted last year as 6th graders. So we haven't even considered what their grades are yet for the 7th grade. Overall GPA, which I think this is really powerful, 2.97 for these 19 students. Look at the volleyball GPA. Girls, amazing. We have 8 of our students out of those 19 who earned either honor roll or merit roll this past quarter, the first quarter. I'm impressed by this. Look at their attendance though. Almost 99% of the time they're in school between these 19 kids. And then also look at almost 96% of the time they're here on time and ready to get started for the day. So boys and girls, you should definitely be commended for your achievements and what you're trying to do. And again, 19 out of 20 of these students had a higher GPA the first quarter in the 7th grade than they did to finish the 6th grade. Okay? So I think that shows the focus that they're putting in their academics and how they're taking it seriously. Bottom line is right here for me. I think it's all about motivation. Coach Butler wanted to share these words. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us for this evening, but this is really what she said. And I think this is what Amira talked about, and really I believe that this is what athletics or any involvement in extracurriculars really should be. It's about trying, it's about not giving up, and it's about finding those little successes. I'm going to talk a little bit about volleyball because you don't have the opportunity to play these necessarily as a younger child as compared to football. You have your Pee-wee programs, you have your opportunities to play maybe a flag sport. Unfortunately, the girls don't always have that opportunity. And I kept telling them time and time again, this is a hard sport. This is your first time playing. But they really turned it around and really achieved on the court, but also I think came together as a team. How many times I maybe mentioned to one of the girls in here, that serve is going to come. It's going to happen. Okay, so girls, these are some words from your coach. Beyond athletics, they're involved. You know, whether they're volunteering in outside school or they're involved in outside athletics, whether it's martial arts, gymnastics, doing something for their church, they're involved. That's also keeping them busy, keeping them out of trouble, and making sure that they're making the right decisions. And that is another part of life. They also play other sports. This is what they told me. As we talked about what did you learn, this is what they said. You know, working as a team, learning the game, learning techniques, getting along with other people, little things like, you know, these are some of the football comments, how to tackle, and knowing that when we show up and we work together, we're going to win those games. New plays. Really like this one. If someone does something wrong, we don't get down on them. They learned how to cooperate and work together. Aren't these the kind of people that we want to hire in our businesses? Aren't these the kind of people we want as our future teachers? I would say yes. Some of the girls' comments, again, I think they echo a lot of what the boys have talked about. But working together as a team, not becoming upset at each other. Sometimes that's easy to do. But I think they worked through that. We didn't always hang out together, but we got along and we made our team work. Again, learning some of the volleyball skills that are so difficult. Attitude. One of my favorites. Again, might be a cliche at this point, but I think it says it all. There is no I in team. We can't do it on our own. Cute picture, huh, girls? This is what resonated with me. Was at the end, every student said, I can't wait for next year. Can't wait to come back. It's about opportunity. It's about these kids coming together, experience some success, and working hard. Again, congratulations to our student athletes who've joined us for this evening. Parents for also coming in on this day just before vacation. But again, boys and girls, I want you to know that I definitely recognize your hard work, your effort, and what you do on a daily basis. Because I know that it is a challenge sometimes to go to a sport after a full day of school, go home, take that shower, try to get dinner, And by the time you turn around, it might be 8:30, 9 o'clock at that point. Moms and dads, you know, for supporting your kids. This is a big thing, okay? But you're gonna have the opportunity to continue this as your life goes on and as you progress in the school system here. So thank you to the Board of Education for their support of these programs, of these student athletes, and of course of our coaches and all their parents. So if we have one more round of applause for our teachers. Thank you. That's our presentation for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tansky. Thanks, students, student athletes, for coming tonight. And, you know, I'm really glad that that Mr. Tansky brought that connection between being involved in school and your academic success. Because that's research. That's research-based. That when you're involved in school, your grades are going to follow. The other thing, too, and when your grades are good, you're successful in life. And so I'm proud of you now, and I suspect I'm going to be very proud of you into the future as well. So that's great. Keep it up. I know the hard work and the time you put in. I think it was during parent-teacher conferences, we had our football team all of a sudden come home. It was like 9:30 that night, and the bus rolled up. That was a late night, and they had just come back from a long day, and, you know, we were proud of them. And I certainly, girls don't tell the guys this, but I have a soft spot for volleyball because I was the former coach here too. So I know the hard work you guys put in. So great job. Congratulations to all of you, and I hope you see you out playing basketball or cheerleading or all the good wrestling or all the good things for the wintertime. So thanks again for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? We're
I
good?
have nothing.
All right. We're going to go on to comments from visitors. Everybody doesn't have to stay. In order for the board to fulfill its obligation to complete the planned agenda in the effective and efficient fashion, a maximum of 30 minutes of public participation as it pertains to school-related topics will be permitted at each meeting. Each person wishing to address the board will approach the podium and state his/her name and address. If several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 3 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. The period of public participation may be extended by a vote of the majority of the board. Anybody like to speak?
Mr. President, how you doing?
Oh,
I think we got a special guest tonight.
Mr.
Am I on the
Conapelli?
agenda, or is it- I go now. is that
Go,
fine?
this is perfect.
Okay.
No,
Sorry
perfect.
about that. All right. I'm Reno Conapelli. I'm from the Ohio School Board Association. The Ohio School Board Association is based in Columbus, but we proudly represent every public school in Ohio. And we have, we divide ourselves into 5 regions, with the Northeast being the largest. And out of 1,100 board members, that's a lot, and 225 schools, 4 board members this year were nominated for the All-Ohio Award from our region, and they automatically become all Northeast region board members. And one of them is sitting over here. He was nominated by your board member Rick. A lot of wonderful things that he's done here in Brooklyn, but I know he'd say it's a team effort, and at the Players Career Center also. But on behalf of the Northeast Region Ohio School Board Association, we got a nice little plaque honoring that he was one of 4 board members out of 1,100 that were nominated for this award, and we could be more proud of him. We honored him at the fall conference, which he could not attend, so we come out to the local meeting and we present him for us. Mr. Oper, congratulations.
Speech.
Well, what Mr. Tansky said, we do what we do because of things like this that happen in the school district, and that's all we strive to do, given what resources we have, and that's pretty much it. I don't work good when I'm not scripted, so.
Well, and living right down here in 480 in Brooklyn Heights, I know all the wonderful things that are happening here in Brooklyn, so it's a credit to everybody sitting up here.
Thank you.
You guys could be more proud of a team effort that you guys have done here at Brooklyn Schools.
It is a team effort.
And once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming
Congrats,
tonight.
Jim. Thanks, Reno. Anybody else? Name and address.
Good evening. My name is Mike Changari. I live at 8705 Morton Avenue in Brooklyn. It's a pleasure to be able to speak at a public meeting like this. I wanted to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. Mr. Glykoff mentioned a very important point that all of our students need to be given the proper tools to succeed and the opportunities while they're here. I spoke about a year and a half ago about the opportunities for kids that have issues related to their academics. And I have seen no movement on funding or correcting the dyslexia dyscalalia issue in this district. And if you look at the state report card, and I showed the definition of dyslexia, it's basically if you're not reading at an age-appropriate level, you have dyslexia. It's nothing to be ashamed of, it's just you're not reading at where you're at. Well, I mentioned it 2 years ago, nothing's been done. If we don't give the tools to the kids that need to learn how to read in this district, we're going to graduate 70% of the 8th grade class, which is where my son is, functionally illiterate. Because we're not taking the time. Yeah, it's great to focus on the fantastic kids that are doing phenomenal, and I applaud you for that, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But we also need to focus on the kids that are trying, but they're in a box in this district. There is no other place to go, not even in a public school setting, to find a dyslexic education teacher except at a Title I school. Now, I mentioned it before, I could file a complaint through the due process and everything else with the IDEA Act. All we're going to do is waste taxpayers' money, which is mine and yours and everybody else's in this room. We need to do the right thing and finally address and put money towards what we already have. There are assets in this building that could be reallocated to be trained. Doesn't take that much money to train teachers for dyslexia education. And I am tired of talking. Everybody I talk to in the district that's a teacher, educator, or support staff, they love training. Why can't we get them the training? If I were to do this personally out of my own pocket, and I've had discussions with Mrs. Jones, I had a discussion with Mrs. Bovenchek, and I talked to Mr. Glykoff, and I know some of you guys. If we don't teach our kids how to read, we're never going to be successful. And we're focusing on everything but. If you look at where the allocations of the IDEA Act money has gone in the last 15 years, it's not going to the kids that need it. We are not obligated, as me personally, in this society to get people to read and teach them English when they come in from another country. Last time I checked, that was an obligation that you should learn as an immigrant before you even walk in the door of this country. That money's being taken away from my kids. The other issue is teaching another language. I love teaching another language. I got to learn, and I did it at home on the Rosetta Stone program. But when you hire a teacher dedicated to teaching another language, that's money we're taking away from kids that can't even read. Now, I'm up here, I love this district, I brought my kids back into the district, but it's been 3 complete school years. And I'm a very polite man. I'm here for every meeting, whatever you guys need. I volunteer for different parent-teacher partnership meetings. I'm the surrogate parent for the district. I just became a member of the district's parent mentor for the whole district, representative, because there wasn't anybody else. And because I needed a parent of a child with a disability. Well, I love helping, but I don't see anything coming back my way. I don't see any effort by this administration to provide the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic is what we're here for. All the other stuff is fantastic. You know, we could go into Title IX money for sports and equality, but if we don't graduate kids that can read and write and add, we are doing a disservice to not only this community, but our state and our country. On another topic.
Hold on 1 second for you. Anybody else need to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
I'll sit
fine.
down.
No. I just, because if someone else
Okay.
says, anybody else? Go ahead.
And I don't mean to take up any more time.
You're fine. No, go ahead. If you
The
want
other
to
thing
finish
that
up.
The other thing I'm a big proponent for is we have books that we are allowed to read. I am not one to censor any book. If the words are inappropriate for our time, so be it. But we need to learn from the history of our past. That's why we're repeating the same mistakes that we've already gone through. When you read a book, if it has a bad word in there, that's a learning example that the teachers need to take to teach the children what these words are. Now, I love the books that you guys choose. The teachers are doing a phenomenal job, but I don't like to see X'd out words, even if it's a bad word, because that says my child is not capable of understanding what that word is. And if somebody has an issue with it, another parent, then they can come up here and they can speak publicly like I am. I am not for censorship. I never will be for censorship. But when you give a book to a child that's in 8th grade and there are words X'd out, and they come home and they say, what does that mean? And I go to the book I read when I was here, and I did graduate from here, and that word is spelled out clearly, I'm like, wait a minute, there's an issue here. If that word is to be taken out of our language, unfortunately, it's not going to be able to, because I hear every kid out in the parking lot when they're shucking and jiving with their friends using it, but my son can't read it in a book, which is called To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a classic. We need to teach more of the classics because it gets you to think. But when the words are X'd out and the teachers are directing them according to state curriculum to interject the couple of the phrases on the questions where they watched the video, they read, we all kind of know what To Kill a Mockingbird's about, okay? What does the phrase 34% of Alabama black males have lost their right to vote in this day have to do with a book that was written almost 2 centuries ago? The statistics, it doesn't matter. And when I have open discussions with my children, because I'm the one that has to educate them, because they're getting ambivalent answers in this building. If the people in any part of this country decide to lose their right to vote, that means they've committed a crime and they've been adjudicated and convicted of a felony. Yes.
I'm going to ask you just to wrap up your
Well,
final thoughts.
That's fine. I'll sit down.
No,
But
you
my-
just
my-
wrap whatever you want to finish up,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on.
My
I appreciate
point
it.
is that let's not lead these children into thinking what the book is going to be about. Let them read the book with all the words in there. And if they have questions, I mean, I read them all. But that's not our job to censor the words. Our job is to provide them the opportunity and then ask the questions. But I really, in wrapping up this whole discussion, one more issue. We need to look at moving the clinic from this end of the building back into the main area of the high school. And we also need to look at allowing the 6th and 7th grade to go to the clinic down here because of an issue that had come up with one of my children. I'm not saying everyone's entitled to a lunch, but when you're in 6th grade or 7th grade, I guess you're supposed to go to the high school clinic. Well, if there's no one at the high school clinic and it becomes an important issue that has to be rushed to the hospital, she knew to go to see Mrs. Paul and Mrs. Beck at the intermediate school. Now, I think this is a very easy fix that we can come up with, that any child in any type of situation, whether it be a skinned knee or a need of an ambulance, they should be able to go to whatever clinic is open in this building. So in wrapping it up, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving, and don't mind my passion, but that's the way I've been my whole life. And I love to be here, I love to help out, but if my son graduates and he's not reading at a college level education that I want him to be, that's my fault. But when he's in a public school district, we have to raise all of our kids to be able to read.
Agree.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you for your insight. Anyone else? Thank you. Next, we're going to go on to the superintendent's report. We're on to Dr. Glykoff.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Just have a couple of short items for tonight. Some really good news from the district this past week. Last week we received, as a result of our preschool on-site visit, we received our preschool step up to quality rating certificate, and we earned the highest rating that a preschool can get, and that is a 5-star rating. So that is something that we're very, very proud of in terms of our preschool. I know that we highlighted our preschool early in the school year, and this is just another testament to that. But this is a significant event, and I want to make sure that the board and our community is aware of that. Just after the Thanksgiving break, I'm going to be beginning another one of kind of my ways to create two-way communication. You know, as I think that is critical in our district to be able to do that. I've had a superintendent's advisory council going on since the end of last year. I'm now starting with a student advisory council, and we're going to have one, a couple through the high school as well as in the intermediate school as well. So it's a great way. I really want to start talking with our kids, probably from 4th grade on up, talking to them about some of their learning experiences, school safety, some of the extracurricular opportunities, and just get a kind of feel for that. So I wanted to talk to the board about and just inform the board about that. Last week I had the pleasure of going to the OSBA conference. Great conference. You know, Mr. Singer and Mr. Oprah were there as well. Great sessions. I've got some materials if you're interested. I went to a variety of sessions, some on surveying, some things that we've done here within the district, talking about levies, collective bargaining, social media usage, the state report card, special education, a variety of topics. So it was really, there were actually some really good sessions, and even the governor spoke on Monday morning. So that was an interesting as well. And then certainly the topic that I think since our last meeting, we had election day. So certainly we're disappointed right now with where our PI levy results were. We had a failure by 12 votes. The official at this point is 1,333 votes no to 1,321 votes for yes. Now, interesting in that's 12-vote differential. We've been talking with the Board of Elections. Yesterday, they validated provisional ballots. There was 23 provisional ballots out. Talking with somebody from the Board of Elections, they said that actually 22 of those are valid. And there's 5 absentee ballots out. So doing the math, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. So we probably would have to, out of those remaining 20-some votes, probably have to get
67%.
about 18 or 19 of those in order to get up. So there is still a chance. When will we know? Next Tuesday is when they certify the election.
Okay.
So we'll know on that. Now, looking what our current results are, you know, if we stand as a failure, starting in the 2018, we would lose our PI renewal, which means we'd be losing about $138,000 per year on that. At this point, I know we talked about that the high school roof would have been one of the focal areas of that money. We just don't have the money to go forth and get a new roof for the high school. You know, once those monies in the PI budget exhaust, you know, we're going to have to start going into our general fund dollars, which is going to be a concern. And then maintenance costs would be coming from there as well. But those are things, I know those are items that we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks. Now, there's a few projects, though, that, you know, Mr. Street and I and others from administration have talked to you about that we really can't afford not to do. There's some money-saving ones. We talked about perhaps lighting, some LED lighting in the high school. We talked about the kitchen hood. We also talked about the control systems. Those, some of those repairs and replacements could potentially save the district upwards to $60,000 a year in energy costs. So, that's a big deal. And so I know that Mr. Street is going to talk a little bit about this in his report as well, but certainly for the long-term solvency, those are going to be things that I would recommend we need to, to look forward, because we're paying for those through a House Bill 264 project, which means you pay for it from the savings. It's not really getting money, it's paying for it from the savings. So that was kind of where I wanted to go with the levy. I know we're going to have some discussion and some work sessions coming up, but also to kind of dovetail into, Mr. Street's treasurer's report. So that is my superintendent's report for tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you. On to the treasurer's report. On to Mr. Street.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jennings, would you like to pass that down? Taylor, would you scroll down to, under the treasurer's recommendations down there? Yes. And the project summary? Yes, thank you. So that's almost big enough to read for you folks, but I handed out to the board what is written up there. And our House Bill 264 project is a project that we will enter into, if the board approves, a contract with PlugSmart to do this project for us. And the energy savings that comes out of this project is projected, if you can see down there on the bottom, to save us $60,350 per year by doing the things that are listed in this project. And to refresh everybody's memory and to the board's memory, I'll go through this, not too much detail, but just enough so you have an idea of what we would be doing. So LED lighting. PlugSmart will retrofit all the fixtures in the high school with energy-efficient LED lighting. The fluorescent fixtures that are currently there will be retrofitted with direct wired LED tubes that eliminate the need for ballast. And I believe ballast is what makes those lights flicker when they're going bad. So PlugSmart says the rated life on these tubes, so the tubes themselves are supposed to last 20 years. So one thing that's pretty dramatic is that the maintenance staff theoretically will not have to go up in the ceiling and change those light bulbs for 20 years. So it will save in that regard in itself. And they will use half the wattage, less than half the wattage that the current fixtures use. The other thing that this project will do, it's a building automation system, and PlugSmart will install a non-proprietary system, and what that means is that we would not be locked into, if anything went wrong with it, we would not be locked into a specific company charging us whatever they wanted to fix it. That any of the components would be able to be changed out with the cheapest components that we could find. So the system will be a web-based building automation system to control the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment in the high school wing to make it come on and off when it is appropriate. And the new system will replace what they call a pneumatic system, which is an air-based control system and with unit vents and dampers, and it will be replaced with an electronic direct digital control system. So everything is digital these days, and that's what we will go to. And the new system will allow for remote diagnostics, email, text alarms, and advanced control strategies for monitoring and supplying the air to the building. And the third part of this project is the kitchen hood. So if you can imagine, just like a fireplace with a kitchen hood, whenever we exhaust the kitchen fumes out of the building, all the warm air goes up the chimney with them. So PlugSmart will install a system that will prevent the 70-degree air that's going out into the environment to control that air, so we're not losing so much of the air out into the system. They will, whatever it is that they do in that kitchen hood, it will keep the air in and just vent out, not the hot air that we have, that we currently are, to save the building from losing all that hot air and having to reheat the building. So that's what this project involves, and so what I'm gonna bring to the board at the end for recommendation is a resolution to borrow the money to pay for this project. And Plug Smart submitted this project to the Ohio Schools Facility Commission. The Facilities Commission looks at the project, makes sure that all the numbers match up and that the project will work and will save the money that the company is telling us it will save. And the Facilities Commission gave approval for this project. And so now, under House Bill 264, we can borrow the money to do this project. And, you know, as we know, the money is tight in the district, but with $60,000 a year in savings from doing this project, that $60,000 will go back to paying the debt on the project. And we'll borrow, my intent is to borrow this money to repay it over a 10-year period, and then once that is repaid, then all that savings comes directly back to the district. You know, I'll just talk for a second about it. So my intent would be to borrow $600,000 from the bank, and under House Bill 264 with that payback. And what that allows us to do, this project is listed at a project cost of $684. We'll pay cash for that, basically $84,000. The $600 we'll borrow. What that allows us to do is to leave money, about $600,000 that was left over from the building of this new building, to have that available for fingers crossed, if the board chooses to put another PI levy up to replace the roof and for technology, then we'll be able to use that money from the PI levy and that $600,000 to replace the roof. So that's why I'll be asking you later on to borrow $600,000 so we have enough available for the roof at a later point in time. So that concludes my report for
Appreciate it.
this moment in time.
Any quick questions?
Mr. Straight, we can only, it's my understanding, each district can only use the House Bill 264 provision once, and then after whatever district decides to use that for, I mean, it doesn't depend on the amount of money, but whatever they use it for, and then once you use it in your district, I mean, we can't think of another House Bill 264 project in 3 years and do it again.
You know, Mr. O'Brien, I'm not sure if I did not check on that to see if we'd be able to use it again.
I think that's the provision that the state put upon us, that every district can use it, but it's only a one-time offer. And
Okay.
That makes sense. Anybody else?
Just to clarify, we can't use this money, let's say, to borrow the funds to replace the roof.
No, that's correct, because this money, because we are borrowing it from the bank, there's, you'll see this resolution, it's only 11 pages long that I'll bring to you later. And so the legal guidelines are pretty strict in what we can do with this money, and it has to be exactly what the project calls for. And in the bank, you know, will guide that, the attorney will guide that. I have to put it in a separate fund, and it's only designated for the expense to do this project, and then for the borrowing of that money and repayment of that money. So it's all, there's a specific fund that it has to go into. It can't be commingled with anything else.
I think for the roof, because we discussed that when we used the House Bill 264 Polaris, that it's hard to quantify energy savings from a roof. I mean, you can, but it's a lot harder to do than lights or something of that nature.
Very minimal. You're
And that's right.
absolutely
You know, part of House Bill 264, in order to do this, is that there has to be a 15-year payback, so the money that you save, this project has to pay for itself within a 15-year period. We can make that 10-year period, but within that 15-year period, the roof itself would not save us enough money to be able to pay the borrowing back within 15 years. So these are all, the three projects that we're doing are all high energy savings projects, where the roof would not save the money that it would be required. You know, a roof, even with the insulation and things, it wouldn't save enough heat for that. I mean, we're concerned about the roof from the leaks.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Street.
Yes, you're welcome.
We're going to go on to comments from board members and board committee reports. We're going to start off with Mr. Hennings.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I'd like to express my condolences to the family of Jordan Taylor. He died this weekend, and he was a Brooklyn graduate. There was no reason for this unnecessary violence. Words can never express what you want to say. So the best thing I can just say is my condolences go out to the family. I'd like to congratulate all the council members who were voted in. Good luck. I'd like to thank everyone in the community, the businesses, the senior parents, and anyone else, the board members who helped raise money for the senior night for the fireworks. We were able to raise $2,800. It was a fantastic night for the seniors. Thank you all who donated. I'd like to thank Bob Kapler for jumping in and helping me with the fireworks for the senior night. I had to go over and get my picture taken with my son, so I couldn't leave him alone. So Bob is also a licensed exhibitor. He works for the service department with me. He came up and helped out, and we got it done and got the show off. So I want to thank him. So thanks, Bob. With the Beauty and the Beast coming up, I'd like to thank everyone who tried out for the parts. I'm glad. I hope everyone enjoys themselves with the play. Congratulations to all who got their parts in the play. They have a lot of work ahead of them. If you're interested in helping out, please talk to Mrs. Cipriano or Mrs. Sullivan. Congratulations to all the fall athletes. We had the fall banquet last night for the high school. There was quite a few awards earned last night. Great job to the girls volleyball team. They went, how far did they go, Dr. Glaykoff?
District final.
District finals. They haven't gone that far in quite a while, so congratulations to them. Good luck to Julia Wall. She signed with Bowling Green. She'll be a great asset to their team. Good luck to Matt Crossman, Chucky Leach, and Alex Guchwa. They were chosen as first team. They'll be representing Brooklyn in the East-West game, and I believe that football game is in June. I also want to congratulate the middle school. Their sports, they were fantastic this year. I was amazed at how many people were actually showing up to both the volleyball and the football games. Great job, ladies. I know you're excited about next year, and they're looking forward to having you guys for the high school and the JV teams. And the football team, I just can't tell you how fantastic they worked. I'll tell you, I went to the Clearview game, and they were fighting all the way through. They never gave up on themselves. Clearview would get a touchdown. Brooklyn would fight right back, and they would get a touchdown. It was like a touchdown festival going on there. You know, there was, I think, one time that Brooklyn didn't get it, and that was the only touchdown that they lost. You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sick.
Also, good luck to Chief Zemek on his retirement. Retiring must be in the air. I guess he's retiring also this year. And also, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Like Mr. Changari said, happy Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, please leave yourself enough time to get to where you got to go. There's a lot of bad weather coming in about an hour or so, and it's not looking good, so please be careful. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. On to Mrs. Barczyk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, Mr. Hennings, that I coughed through here. I'm going to keep my... I deserve that. Because of... Obviously, I have a cold and I'm sick, and I apologize. You should keep on going.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with you.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to keep my comments really short. I want to... First, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone has a safe holiday. I'd like to congratulate the sports teams from the fall, and you guys did a great job, and thank you for representing Brooklyn well, and thank you, Mr. Tansky, for your presentation. Mr. Gary, thank you for coming up, and I agree with you. If we, academics needs to be our first priority, and I understand where you're coming from, sir, and thank you for coming up, and I appreciate your passion. It's nice to see the parents so, eager and wanting to be involved, and it really is. Thank you, sir. I also would like to congratulate all those students who made the honor and merit roll this first quarter, and all of our student athletes who were honored last night at the fall sports banquet. As Mr. Henning said, congratulations to everyone on the Beauty and the Beast play, and I'm looking forward to that. I know it's going to be phenomenal. They are every year. With that, I'm going to end my report. As always, I can be reached at 216-406-4304. And again, sorry if I'm coughing my way through the meeting.
Thank you. On to Mr.
I know.
Oper.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, it would have been.
I'd like to thank Mr. Changary for your comments, sir. They'll be listened to, trust me. I'd like to thank Mr. Tansky, the intermediate school, and everybody that showed up. I mean, exactly, like I said before, that's why we do what we're doing. I'm heartened by the efforts of the District Climate Task Force in regards to the bullying issue. I would ask the parents to keep, please, the lines of communication open, because we have tasked the administration to respond promptly to any reports. The Players Board met in Columbus last week at the Capitol Conference. Things are moving rapidly with the building project. The classroom activities for the various areas will begin to be transferred to different floors. Barring any last-minute changes by the Middleburg Heights Planning Commission, the groundbreaking will happen in the spring. Speaking of that, I attended the Capitol Conference, as Dr. Glykoff mentioned, with him and Mr. Singer last week. Over and above all the forums and topics that are presented, the conference also kind of always serves for me as kind of recharging my board member batteries and to speak to other board members from across the state and about other shared problems that we all face and solutions or advice that they might have. As was mentioned, I, along with the rest of my colleagues, the administration and staff, were disappointed with the results of the election. Yes, we are crossing our fingers and toes, but there's always a chance. Nevertheless, we will forge ahead and consider all of our options. I would also personally like to congratulate the 316 honor roll, 155 merit roll, 43 scholar athletes, and the PAC first team, second team, and honorable mention students for their accomplishments in football, volleyball, soccer, and cheer. Finally, I'd like to echo Mr. Hennings by also extending my condolences to the Taylor family. And everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. As always, I can be reached at james.oper@brooklyn.k12.oh.us or at 216-485-8195. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Oper. On to Mr. Singer.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving to all, except for Mrs. Bonnie Barczyk, who's spreading her germs
I am
around to the
coughing
rest
into
of
my
the floor.
elbow like you're supposed to. I have my hand sanitizer.
Just kidding, Bonnie, just kidding.
I do.
You're gonna be the one picked out today.
I do. See, I have my hand sanitizer.
Oh, my God, my ribs.
See, and your daughter's right here.
Your
She should
daughter's going home.
take good care of it.
I know.
But,
I don't blame her.
She's hiding.
I wanted to again, also to thank all our athletic students and Mr. Tansky for the presentation tonight. One thing that really resonated with me, which I learned it in one of the Capitol conferences in the past, and I don't know who quoted it, maybe an anonymous quote, but they said, if you want to measure the level of excitement for students going to a school, watch them in the morning. Do they run to the school where they can't wait to get into the classes, and do they walk out of the school kind of hoping that it would have lasted a little longer? So sometimes, we get caught up in the metrics and the analytics, but you see a lot of kids running into the classroom, maybe they're late for school, I don't know, but you see the excitement in the morning of them going to classrooms. That energizes me as a board member. And when I see them sticking around after school, talking to teachers, coaches, principals, that's very, very heartening as well, that things are going right. I'd like to again congratulate my colleague, Mr. Jim Oper, on receiving the prestigious award from the OSBA for his service to Brooklyn and the Polaris Career Center. It was well deserved. Jim puts his heart into school board. I'd like to thank Mike. I'd like to thank you for being here to bring about noticing dyslexia education and bring it to our attention. I'm not sure, being on the board for as long as I am, I'm still not sure how the idea of money works and how it gets diverted to different special programs. But one thing that I'm curious about, and I would hope that you would work with us on this, is perhaps to do something more positive than just talking about this, but maybe setting up a meeting and look at our curriculum to see. You talked about the training and everything else. I don't know if there's grant money available that we can apply for, carving out money. Money's really tight for our district. And then looking at the need of how many students would, fall under that moniker of dyslexia. And I apologize for not knowing more about this, but I'm very, very concerned about our kids, as you are, going through life and going through school, not knowing how to read. It's tragic what we've seen in the past, and we certainly don't want to repeat that in the future. So thank you for that, and reach out to me if you could. Maybe we can put something together. I, too, as Jim did, learned a lot this past week at Capitol Conference. One of the interesting forums I went to was a facilities forum on some of the new techniques for construction projects for school districts and how they're basically raising money through bond levies and how they're handling the contracts. Well, it's kind of interesting to talk to some of the folks over at Rossford School District, which is just outside of Toledo. And they were talking about the fact that they kind of followed our lead with owner representation for our last building project, which caused us to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars going to a guaranteed price contract. That's not the way it's been done, but it seems that that's to be the trending for a lot of school districts that go outside of the Ohio Schools Facilities Commission. And what that is basically the state telling you how you're going to build your buildings. And we never had any of that. We kind of controlled, what we wanted as far as a building and how much we were willing to pay for it. We got a guaranteed price. We wound up saving a lot of money as a result of that, as our treasurer, Mr. Street, mentioned that, there's money left over from our savings. So it was very reassuring. One of my takeaways was the fact that others are following the same model as we did here in Brooklyn. So it was nice to be on the cusp of that. I'm very excited about our athletic teams for the fall schedule, in which our students and coaches much success this season. Love it that I see more and more middle school participation. Those are our future varsity football, volleyball, baseball, basketball players. So that's a good thing. Again, I want to thank our musical arts team, Mr. Cipriani, Mr. Sullivan. I'm very excited over their choice of Beauty and the Beast for the next production. They always pick the winners. It'll be nice to see how our new stage rigging and renovated stage works out. I'm sure Mr. Hennings will be backstage somewhere helping those kids out, and it'll be nice to see how the new rigging works out and the improved stage. So all a result of our last project. I want to remind those of you out there who are websites and social media to encourage you to get your information about our schools and our school board at our board meetings, and hopefully soon on more social media. Many times these items are posted contain corrupted information that's passed down. We used to call it gossip. And like the old game of telephone, one person tells another person this is what's going on in school, and before you know it, there's armed terrorists outside of our school building in a lockdown situation. So what we're going to try to do, as myself as a board member, is to try to work. Our superintendent, Mr. Glykoff, kind of touched on it in his report, is just to do more communication, two-way communication. Rumor mills can be very damaging to our students and obviously to our schools, to the school levy. And I would ask this, which is important in my business, is please research before you react. But for certain, please express your concerns to this board and administrative staff. If you feel that your concerns are not addressed, we heard some of that tonight, I'd ask that you please reach out to myself and our fellow board members, and especially Dr. Glykoff. I want to thank all of you who voted this past election, especially to those of you who continue to support our schools and our great students. I don't look strictly at our state report card. I know it's important, as is merits, engaging progress. A lot of my assessments come from just talking to parents who brag about their children's education and personal enrichment. That's my report card. Congratulations to our newly elected council members and re-election of our seasoned council. Look forward to moving Brooklyn in the right direction of support and hope that we can all work together to make Brooklyn a better place to live. I'm excited about our project consideration to move towards HB 264. It's the first step in making us energy efficient, provide more security for our students, and quite frankly, folks, it'd be nice for anybody to write us a check for around $60,000 a year and pay for a project that's self-paid for, Plus the fact that, back in my day, which is when Fred Flintstone and I went to school together, lighting was always an issue. It was an issue for me in a grade school. I went to Catholic grade school, and I swear if it wasn't a candle, it was a very poor light. It was tough to read. One of the things we always divide for the window seat because that's where you got the most light. And I have to say that the lighting, especially the LED lighting, will hopefully make a small difference in some of our students able to read, off a screen or read off a piece of paper. My condolences, as Mr. Hennings mentioned, go out to the Taylor family for the brutal loss of their son Jordan. He was very well liked, loved, both at Olmsted Falls schools, where he went to school with my nieces, and here at Brooklyn. It's a very sad thing. I can best be reached by phone or text. I'm also on Twitter at @PoundRickJC. But my phone number is 216-978-1931. I accept all texts and phone calls. Thank you for allowing me to say my report here.
You got it. Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Chingari for his comments. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Oper on his award.
Thank you.
I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Singer and Mr. Oper on their re-election of another 4 years, I believe, to the school board. All right. Would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. The middle school presentation was wonderful. Glad to see that the grades are up for those 19 kids, and they're doing a superior job. All right. You're not coughing yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm never going to live this one down.
Dr. Glykoff and I had a little meeting, when we meet, a couple days ago?
Especially when you cough for just me and
Last
Rick.
week?
Last week on the agenda.
What we'd like to try to do is we need to get a little more involvement in the community as far as work groups for passing levies, for understanding what levies need to be passed. So we're going to start reaching out to bringing in former students, some elderly people, just to communicate better so we understand levies in the process. So that you will see in the near future. And that's part of the two-way communication that we will be starting to present. Still have some hope with the PI levy, but if not, we got to get boots on the ground, and we got to start working a little bit harder than what we did. And that includes all 5 of us up here, 7, in order to get that levy passed. So, again, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. Have a nice Thanksgiving, and we'll go from there. We're going to go on to approval of minutes and financial statements, and we're going to go on to the reader tonight. It's going to be Mr. Bob Hennings.
Be resolved that the minutes of the following Board of Education meeting be adopted and all action taken by the Board of Education at said meeting is hereby reaffirmed and approved. Special meeting October 23rd, 2017, and the regular meeting October 17th, 2017.
Can I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Street, can you call the roll?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the financial statements of receipts and expenditures for the month of October 2017. including all purchase orders paid and all then and now statements for the month of October as submitted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henning?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby commends the following students per the attachments.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Congratulations.
Good job.
Congratulations to all those students.
Great job. Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves granting a limited contract to the following certified personnel effective 11/10/17 for the remainder of the 2017-2018 school year. Joe, this is going to be great. Giovanni LaCagnata,
Yeah.
okay. And Joshua Zedrich.
There you go. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yes, these
Mr.
are two long-term subs for us right now. Actually, Mr. L is with us tonight,
Everybody's gone.
as well as Mr. Zedrich. Per the contract, at the 61st day of their long-term sub position, they automatically move to a limited contract status. So this is what this resolution is tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education approves the retirement of the following certified employee effective February 28th, 2018. Laura Bindernagel, the school psychologist.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Discussion. Stretch it to Dr. Glykoff. So with Laura Bitternagel retiring, are we going to be out of compliance with not having a resident school psychologist?
My answer to that is probably not, because we are,
If we have a problem.
we have a last interview with a person as of Monday for a position. So hopefully that's going to go well, and then we'll be able to replace that. And we've been working with the union on perhaps some support with that as well. But if you look, the date there is February 28th.
Right, but it's going to come up pretty quickly here.
It will be.
So
So-
we should have somebody in place then when
Yes.
Mrs. Bitternagel retires.
Actually, we should have something, we're hoping, with a transition time,
Yeah,
of at
good.
least 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
The Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby commends Laura Bindernagel for her 21 years of service to the students of Brooklyn.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your retirement.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following supplemental coaching resignation. Robert Kelber Sr., girls junior varsity basketball coach. Oh, that's a shame.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Street, can you call the roll?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following persons for the 2017-2018 supplemental coaching assignments with the provision that such individuals comply with all Ohio High School Athletic Association rules and regulations and State Department of Education regulations pertinent to proper certification and/or first aid training and fulfills the requirements of the job description attached to their supplemental contracts. Scott Urig, girls JV basketball coach, Rachel Verba, intermediate school girls basketball coach, Larissa Bendis, intermediate school girls basketball coach, Kristen Field, intermediate school girls basketball coach.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, our intermediate school girls basketball coaches, those are some we've had in the past. Yes, with regret, we took Coach Kelber's resignation, but, we're very fortunate. Scott Yurig, one of our own teachers in the high school, was not coaching this winter and was willing to come on and be Mr. Verba's assistant, so.
Two of the intermediate girls I coach, they'll be perfectly fine. They learned a lot. Mr. Street, can you call a roll?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the job classification change for Anita Bruzek, effective November 2nd, 2017, from classroom assistant, 6.5 hours per day, Appendix B, Step 6, to accounting clerk 2, 6.5 hours per day, Appendix B, Step 6.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Is this? Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, it's-
How do you want to take it? I'll
Yeah.
start it, and then I'll have Mr. Street roll in there. Yeah. Ms. Brusick, if you remember, we've talked a little bit about this. When the position for the accounting clerk opened up because of a resignation, we had Mrs. Brusick reassigned into that position as a temporary reassignment. When the position was posted, and it was a civil service position, she also applied for it. And then subsequently, Mr. Street did the interview process, because this is something in the treasurer's office. And she was granted that position. But because she was a classroom assistant prior, now this kind of reassigns her. This is the classification change that you're approving tonight. Anything
good with
else,
that,
Mr.
John?
Street?
Yes, that's good.
All right. Good way to put it.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Anyone else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the employment of the following substitute personnel for the 2017-2018 school year. Melody Click, bus monitor, cafeteria, custodial, cleaner, and playground monitor.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Just to move around, okay. Mr. Street, can you call the roll?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Where we at? Okay.
That's the bar right there.
Is this one you want me to read?
Yeah, you want to read this, let me hand this out first, and then you can read to resolve that the board approves the attached resolution.
But you need me to read, when do you want me to read that?
In a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Do that first.
Thank you.
So before Mr. Hennings reads this, part of the law is that I hand out what is in front of you, or will be in front of you. And so I'll go ahead and read it. So as fiscal officer of the Board of Education of the Brooklyn City School District, I certify in connection with your proposed issue of bonds in a maximum principal amount of $600,000 for the purpose of paying costs of installations, modifications, and remodeling of school buildings to conserve energy, the improvement, that the estimated life or period of usefulness of the improvement is at least 5 years old, or 5 years. The estimated maximum maturity of the bonds, calculated in accordance with sections 133.20 of the revised code, is 15 years. So by law, I needed to put that in front of you before we go forward with this. And then Bob can go ahead and read the resolve there, this part, Bob. So you can do this, and then we can do that.
So you want this first and then this?
Yes.
All right. Be resolved that the Brooklyn City School Board of Education approve the attached resolution to borrow under the provisions of House Bill 264. A resolution providing for the issuance and sale of bonds of this school district in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $600,000 for the purpose of paying costs of installations, modifications, and remodeling of school buildings to conserve energy.
That's it.
That's it, sir.
You got it. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Question.
Go.
John, can a debt service on this be accelerated? Can we, like, prepay or pay off the amount of loan principal balance earlier?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've always liked to include that in a borrowing if it's possible. And we would need to carry out the terms of the agreement for 3 years. And then after the 3 years, we would be able to pay off the bonds if we were able to do that financially at that time.
Would that jeopardize any kind of cost savings at the $60,000 per year? Would that have any impact on it?
No, the only thing we'd have to be careful of is that we need certification from the Ohio Schools Facility Commission for a 3-year period that the project is meeting the goals of energy savings. And so we would just need to be cautious of that so that the Plug Smart is meeting the conditions of the proposal. But that would be all that we would look for. We wouldn't have any problem with paying that off.
Anyone else?
Is everybody comfortable with, 600,000 and the reason that I picked 600 and, allows us to keep some cash for the roof and,
Yep,
okay?
makes sense. Anyone else? Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hennings?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Oker?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any correspondence related to action information? I know that we did speak about, well, go ahead.
I don't have any
Okay.
correspondence.
I jumped in there too quick. Just so everybody knows, we did speak about House Bill 264 several other times. This is just not the first time we've addressed this. It's something the board has been talking about for, I would say, at least a year, right? I'd say in the ballpark of a year, on and off, not on a regular basis, but we've had some pretty in-depth conversations. We've also had some informational meetings for the community. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably about 6 months ago, right? So this is just something, not just something we're just voting on to vote on. In correspondence related to action information, any other business? Just a reminder, November
That's
29th,
Yep.
Yeah.
we will have a work session, 6 PM.
Okay.
Did I see that?
No,
Okay.
and you and I will speak about it after.
Okay, because
Okay.
I had
All
I
right.
had a superintendent advisory council that night.
Okay, well, it's gonna work out fine, I think. So,
All right.
all right. And then also, I'd like to try to get a meeting, probably the first week or second week of December as well, too. All right? I think we got a few meetings we need to have. Anybody else? Any
I
other
had some
business?
other business.
Go ahead.
One of the things that you've implored me to do is to try to get some strategic planning for the school district.
Correct.
So I've been working with some folks on how to plan that out, and I'm looking to do that for the second semester. So, obviously, I want to get some comprehensive district strategic planning. I know in the past, there has been some just on the academic side, but I think all the way around. Certainly, right now, I think it's necessary when we think about finances, academics, communication, and outreach. So I'm going to hand this out and I'll talk about it briefly tonight. I don't want to spend too much time with it, but I wanted kind of just talk about it in concept. What we're looking at is trying to engage a large number of stakeholders, probably in the upwards to 30 stakeholders starting in January or February. Those stakeholders would be a comprehensive group of parents, students, staff members, community members, and really around the whole idea of where our vision, our mission is, our beliefs, and then really start to get into action groups and so forth. Probably would work on a monthly basis, culminating in May or June. So I wanted to kind of lead that out with you because I'll probably be asking each of you to try to go and enlist some folks from the community to do that. Probably would like to have at least probably have to have 2 board members to also be a part of strategic planning as well. So that might be something we can discuss at a subsequent meeting. But I wanted to at least have you guys start thinking about this now so we can really start to, I'm going to work and talk a little bit with my superintendent's advisory council next week and start to really put some names to this and hopefully get some folks to do that. So.
And Mark and I talked about each board member will be responsible for at least 2 referrals. I would recommend one a little younger and one a little older. Mature enough to handle this and mature enough to have gray hair. That's the way I look at it.
I got my first one, Mike Shingary.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, when we get there. Anything else?
No, I just wanted to share that.
Okay, appreciate that. Did I see, Dr. Glykoff, did you have a Twitter handle too?
I do have a Twitter.
Are you gonna start
Getting that out.
informational?
Yes, I've actually tweeted a few already.
Have you?
I'm up to double-digit followers.
Okay.
But I'll be working with
What is
the
your,
group that, I have to be frank with you, the group that I want to start getting a little bit more is our students.
Right.
Because I think they'll be more interested in anything,
that's
particularly if there's a calamity day. But,
Snow day.
but
What is your, whatever
It's
they call it,
Brooklyn.
hashtag?
Brooklyn _SUPT. I actually tweeted out today a little bit about our spelling bee, so, and one of the words that was more difficult, a treacherous word for that matter. So,
Brooklyn
you'll have to
underscore-
look me up.
Brooklyn underscore.
I definitely will.
Brooklyn _SUPT.
He's right there next to Trump.
Underscore?
Yeah, right.
I don't Facebook, but I can at least look at that. I
You can
don't-
tweet.
It'll be real
I don't know.
news.
Do you need this
Looking
back?
for trouble. Anybody else?
I got one more thing. real
Sure.
quick. I'm going to pass this along and kind of present to the board. One of the ideas that, forums that I went down to Capitol Conference with, and I think it's a great idea, is Alumni Career Speaker Series. Lordstown did this. They brought in some alumni from their high school to talk to the kids about career opportunities. And there's the handout from the class. When you're talking about engaging stakeholders, perhaps engaging some of our alumni into kind of directing some of our kids in a career path might be a good idea too.
I think it's a great idea. Anybody else? Okay. Announcement of the next regular scheduled meeting for the Brooklyn Board of Education will be Tuesday, December 19, 2017, in the Media Center located in the Brooklyn Intermediate Elementary, 9200 Bidoff, Brooklyn, Ohio, at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Street, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henning?
Yes.
Mrs. Barcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Neal? Mr.
Yes?
Singer?
Yes.
Mr. Roper?
Yes.
Now.